Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. December 5th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services. This is the Kuhner Report.
John Conyers goes down. We're going to have that later in the show. It is now the end for the Michigan congressman, the final accuser. He was groping her in church. It's over. He says he's retiring today, and he wants his son to take over his seat. Unbelievable. We're going to have that later in the show. But first, the Mueller investigation heats up. And now, is this the end of the FBI as we know it? Okay, dramatic revelations over the last 24 hours. Here is now the absolute latest. What is now taking place with Robert Mueller, the special counsel's investigation into President Trump, is no longer an impartial, objective investigation. There's no question about that now. It is now an impeachment investigation. Meaning he is now looking for possible crimes, any crimes that could have been committed by Trump's inner circle, his advisors, his family, him, his businesses, whatever. It is now an open fishing expedition. And so breaking late last night, Deutsche Bank, the biggest bank in Germany, has now admitted that Robert Mueller has subpoenaed all of Trump's financial records in terms of his dealings with the bank. And in particular, what Mueller is now focusing in on, hoping to find something to nail or ensnare the president, is that Deutsche Bank handed out over $300 million worth of real estate loans to President Trump. In total, if you read the press accounts, especially the financial press, the financial media, Trump in all has about $700 million in debt, most of it in mortgages, loans for his various properties and businesses, which frankly isn't really that much compared to the equity and the assets that he has, but he does have substantial loans. And so what Mueller is now desperately fishing for is to see, was anything illegal done in obtaining those loans? Anything unethical? Anything that he could charge Trump with, or his businesses with, or his family with? And of course, the big charge that he's looking for, were any Russians involved? A Russian oligarch? Was there any quid pro quo? He has no evidence whatsoever. But the Democrats have been clamoring for the Deutsche Bank records. The mainstream media, led by the New York Times, have been clamoring for the Deutsche Bank records, not because they say it contains anything explosive or damning, but because it may contain something explosive or damaging. And so, hence, let's go fishing, and let's see if we find something. As all of this is taking place, in other words, we're starting now to go a long way. Remember, what was the purpose of the investigation? To look into whether Russia had meddled in the election and whether the Trump campaign had colluded with Putin to steal the election from Hillary Clinton. This is the alleged charge. Hence, they want to show that Trump's election was illegitimate. The election itself was illegitimate, Trump's victory was illegitimate, and that he should now be driven from office. We are now a long way from that. Now we're talking about Mike Flynn lying to the FBI. Now we're talking about Deutsche Bank records. Now we're talking about bank loans. In other words, find something. Just find something. Anything. And nail the president on a technicality. Furthermore, as all of this is going on, Robert Mueller, and I'm choosing my words now very carefully, should resign. On the spot. The FBI has now become, in my view, totally politicized, totally corrupted, under the former leadership of James Comey. Comey, to me now, is the dirtiest cop in America. Let me repeat that. He is the dirtiest, stinkiest cop in America. Why? Listen now to this. So I talked about this yesterday. You remember Peter Strzok, the senior FBI investigator, one of the top people on Mueller's probe, who it now turns out was a rabid Hillary supporter, a rabid never-Trumper, who was texting anti-Trump messages to his mistress and lover, Lisa Page, who, by the way, was working for Andrew McCabe, Comey's number 2, another big Hillary supporter. You see how they're like thick as thieves now? You see how this is starting to come together? Well, this same guy who was demoted and thrown into the Human Resources Department because he was so out of control in his texts and his deranged hatred for the president and his support for Hillary, now we find out he had a much more important and seminal role in clearing Hillary Clinton and in going after President Trump and Michael Flynn. So listen now to this. This is unbelievable. You tell me if the FBI has not become a complete joke, an extension of the Hillary campaign. Listen to this. It has now been revealed that Peter Strzok, the same guy who was demoted to the Human Resources Department, the same guy, Peter Strzok, was the one who helped change the key wording in Comey's draft speech. Remember the famous speech he delivered in July of 2016, where he said, well, everything Hillary Clinton did regarding her email server, it wasn't grossly negligent, but it was extremely careless. The person who changed the term grossly negligent, which is a legal term, a criminal term, a term that could lead to potential prosecution, to extremely careless, which is a softer term and is completely has no legal ramifications whatsoever. Shazam! Peter Strzok. In other words, he made sure that Hillary got away scot-free from the investigation. He made sure that the speech was written and the terms were used that would clear Hillary Rotten Clinton. But it gets even worse. It gets even worse. It is the same Peter Strzok who urged the FBI and was spearheading, in fact, led the charge to go after Donald Trump for alleged collusion with Mother Russia. So he's the guy that was telling Comey and then telling Mueller, we got to get President Trump. He's involved in collusion. But here is the absolute kicker. Get ready for this one, baby. So, Mike Flynn is now the incoming National Security Advisor. He meets with many ambassadors up on Capitol Hill, one of them being he's actually a drunk, the drunk Russian ambassador, the alcoholic, Sergei Kislyak. So he meets the drunk Sergei Kislyak. Okay? The Obama administration, as I explained yesterday, explicitly gave approval for Mike Flynn to meet with Sergei Kislyak, the Russian ambassador. So Flynn meets with the Russian ambassador. They discuss possibly sanctions and moderating the sanctions, and he's urging the Russians, please don't retaliate for the sanctions that Obama has just imposed on top Russian officials. We don't need an economic war between our two countries. They discuss a UN resolution over Israel. He tells Kislyak, come on, we don't want to isolate Israel. It's not fair. In fact, the Russians didn't even listen to Mike Flynn. That's how much influence Mike Flynn had, but let that go. It's the transition team. As happens in every administration, outgoing administration, incoming administration. Throughout January And during the first few days of Trump now being officially installed in power, he's now in office, the inauguration is over, the FBI was at the White House frequently, giving not just the president, his entire team, including Mike Flynn, security training. Security training regarding computers, emails, the office, the grounds. In other words, how to have the White House be as secure as possible. So the FBI is coming and going from the White House and doing security training with top officials, including Mike Flynn. January 24th, Peter Strzok, the same Peter Strzok, calls Mike Flynn on the phone. He's now the National Security Advisor. He refers to him as Mike. Not even Mr. National Security Advisor. Mike. Not even General Flynn. Mike. He says, hey, Mike, we're going to come by the White House. Is that okay? We just want to look around. And Mike Flynn says, yeah, sure. He thinks in his mind, as everybody else does, oh, it's more security training. They enter into Flynn's office, Peter Strzok and another FBI agent. Peter Strzok then tells Mike Flynn, Mike, I just want to clarify a few things about your testimony that you had said before, the interview about meeting Kislyak, the Russian ambassador. No. You don't need a lawyer, Mike. Mike, you don't need a lawyer. This is not a formal interview, Mike. This is informal. You're just talking to me. You're talking to this guy. I want you to dot your I's and cross your T's. That's all what this is all about. So they make Flynn believe that this was not a formal interview, that he doesn't need his lawyer. In fact, he shouldn't even call his lawyer because basically they're just a couple of guys shooting the breeze. And I just want to make sure everything's 100% consistent, dot my I's, cross my T's for my report, and adios amigos, Mike. That's when Flynn apparently made the inconsistent statements, the lie, whatever you want to call it, about having met with Kislyak and discussed sanctions. In other words, when everything is said and done, it was a perjury trap. The very same rabid pro-Hillary FBI investigator who had cleared Hillary Clinton, who wanted to go after Trump from the get-go because he refused to accept the results of the election. The very same guy who was driving much of the Mueller investigation is the guy that set up Mike Flynn so they could nail him on perjury or giving false statements or lying to the FBI. It was a setup from the get-go. From the get-go. Let me tell you what is now really happening. James Comey was in bed with Hillary Clinton. James Comey was convinced that Hillary Clinton was going to keep him as the FBI director. James Comey and the entire FBI, including the Justice Department, became an arm of the Obama administration and the Hillary Clinton campaign to take down Donald Trump. And after he won the election, they said, oh my God, I can't believe this guy won. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to trump up this phony collusion story, and we're going to start going after these guys, and we're going to get them to lie. We're going to put in perjury traps, make them have inconsistent or false statements, and then we're going to nail them, and we're going to nail them one by one by one. This was a setup from the get-go. And what is even more disgusting is that Hillary Clinton, for the record, lied about her personal server repeatedly when she was asked and interviewed by the FBI, who, by the way, under Comey and Peter Strzok, cleared her 2 months before they even interviewed her or many of the top people around her. In other words, the fix was in. They had already written the letter, and he had changed the wording from grossly negligent to extreme carelessness before they even interviewed Hillary herself. Just to show you how the fix was in. This is how corrupt the FBI, not the lower level guys, they're phenomenal, the management of the FBI became under Comey's tenure. She lied about the server. She lied about deleting and destroying 33,000 emails. She lied about issue after issue after issue. And yet, how come they're not nailing her for lying to the FBI? Listen now to President Trump blow the whistle on Hillary in front of the press corps. They went apoplectic yesterday on his way to Utah. They wanted to ask him about General Flynn and his plea agreement, his guilty plea. Listen to the president's response. Roll it, Brittany.
Well, I feel badly for General Flynn. I feel very badly. He's led a very strong life, and I feel very badly, John. I will say this. Hillary Clinton lied many times to the FBI. Nothing happened to her. Flynn lied, and they destroyed his life. I think it's a shame. Hillary Clinton, on the 4th of July weekend, went to the FBI, not under oath. It was the most incredible thing anyone's ever seen. She lied many times. Nothing happened to her. Flynn lied, and it's like they ruined his life. It's very unfair. Thank you very much.
He's completely right. They are out to destroy Michael Flynn in the desperate hope that he will flip on President Trump. But here's the point. As any federal prosecutor worth his or her salt will tell you, say, take the mob. You're investigating the mob. I can just give you many examples. You usually will get somebody, a top-ranking person, say, yes, I committed this murder, or I was involved in this bribery scheme, or I was involved in this racketeering scheme, and you go, ooh, he's pleaded guilty to an actual crime that other mob bosses committed in, he's going to rat and tell on them. Mueller, if you noticed, never pled guilty to anything except giving one false statement to the FBI. In other words, if he had something to give, he would have pled guilty on that. They've only got him on perjury, which means they have nothing on Trump. Nothing when it comes to collusion. And here's the final kicker. I know I'm up against it, Brittany. And it's the mother of all points. If Trump truly believed that Mueller had something on him regarding collusion with Russia or something illegal, he would have pardoned him. He would have said, okay, fine, the FBI's out to get him. I pardon you. Period. End of story. As president, he has full pardon power. He can pardon you before, after a conviction, it doesn't matter. The fact that he was willing to have Flynn plead guilty to lying to the FBI and not have to pardon him shows you that Trump himself knows Mueller's got on Russia and collusion, he's got nothing. But it doesn't matter. Because this is no longer a true investigation. It's now an impeachment investigation. Get the president at all costs. Is the FBI now hopelessly compromised? Is Mueller hopelessly compromised? Should Mueller go? And is Comey now the dirtiest cop in America? 617-266-6868. Your calls next.
Jim Comey changed the whole color.
You once told me he's an honorable guy, and I said, no way.
And you were right. And let me tell you, he ran his office very well. And then he turned into a political whore. And he changed the nature of the FBI. Shame on him.
12:57 here on the great WRKO. Oh, boy, is he a political whore. Ay, ay, ay. The FBI is now in tatters. President Trump is correct. They have now been exposed for running a completely politicized agency whose goal it was to protect Hillary at all costs, and now to destroy Trump and his associates at all costs. Arthur in Chestnut Hill. Go ahead, Arthur.
Well, first first of all, it sounded to me like the meeting with Mike Flynn was a kind of an off-the-record type conversation. The way that the FBI approached him, and in that sense, he spoke, without any thought of having any repercussions. And if he did say something wrong, because nobody figures why he lied, if it was a Democrat, they would say he misspoke. It's beyond me. And you know that Andrew McCabe and the FBI, whose wife got the money to run for office, is presently under investigation for sexual harassment, and Mike Flynn is helping the woman as a witness against the sexual harassment. You don't think that has something to do with it, do you?
Arthur, very good call. It's just, you see how sleazy the entire FBI leadership has become. It's time to clean house. And the question is, where's Jeff Sessions? Where's Jeff Sessions? He's the Attorney General. The FBI ultimately falls under the Justice Department. The Justice Department falls under the AG. Where is Jeff Sessions? That's the question I want to know. Eddie in Quincy. Go ahead, Eddie. You want to go to Tom? Okay, let's go to Tom in New Jersey. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Jeff. God bless you, red, white, and blue, to you and your family. Jeff, can we start a legal fund for General Flynn? Because he needs a good lawyer badly. 2 points, Jeff. Number one, if the FBI is asking him probative questions and they don't read him his rights, that whole testimony goes down the toilet. Number two, Jeff, his guilty plea is completely invalid. He was under extreme duress. They threatened to prosecute his son, and he's bankrupt, according to a report by Mark Levin. That plea is invalid. He's under extreme duress. I mean, we got to get this guy a lawyer, Jeff. Can we start a legal fund?
Well, Tom, it's not, and you're right. You're completely right. But it's not just that. It's like, let's say I'm an FBI agent, okay? You're the national security advisor. You're seeing me the whole week. Okay, Tom, look, when you log into your computer, you've got to do this. You got to make sure this, whatever. We got procedures here to make sure nobody hacks into your computer. Listen, when you leave in the morning, this FBI agent's going to contact you or whatever to make sure you have proper security. I want you to take this route to the White House, whatever. So you're going through all of this security training. So, and I call you up and I go, hey, Tommy, I'm Mr. National Security Advisor. Tommy, hey, Tommy, I just want to come by to the office. Is it okay? I just want to talk to you about a couple things. Sure. You're thinking, hey, he's going to talk about security. Tommy, no, you don't, Tommy, you don't need a lawyer. Tommy, you don't need a lawyer. Just about, what the interview that we did a couple of weeks ago on the meeting with the Russian ambassador, I'm just not clear. So did you guys discuss sanctions or did you guys not discuss sanctions? Like, just tell me, what did you guys talk about again? It was an informal interview where he was told not even to bring his lawyer. And the point is they wanted a perjury trap. Peter Strzok set Mike Flynn up. Now you tell me, this investigation is on the level? No way. But it gets even worse. I've got a story for you. Oh, don't touch that dial. But first, Jackie Murphy in the newsroom. 12:36 here on the great WRKO. Okay, so Peter Strzok. I want to stick with him because he is the key to unlocking a lot of this. So, as we now know, Robert Mueller refused to tell Congress why Strzok had been demoted. Now we know because he had sent very explicit anti-Trump text messages, rabid anti-Trump messages, pro-Hillary messages to his mistress and lover, Lisa Page, who also worked for Andrew McCabe, Comey's number 2, another partisan Democrat. Okay? So, Strzok is the one that put Flynn into the perjury trap. I discussed this in the last segment. So he's the one that said, don't worry, we're just going to come and talk. You don't need a lawyer. Mike, you don't need a lawyer, Mike. Okay? This is informal, just between us guys. Just want to clarify some inconsistencies. They nail him now for making one false statement to the FBI. Listen now to this. During the sham investigation into Hillary Clinton's misuse and mishandling of classified information on a private email server, which, by the way, is illegal. You cannot have a private email server and not tell the government about it. But let that go. Guess who's leading the interrogations and the interviews? It's Shazam, Peter Strzok. This is incredible. And he's the one who leads the interview along with another FBI agent. He is the, a Justice Department attorney, my bad, David Loffman. So these are the two that are leading the interviews. Strzok interviews Cheryl Mills, Hillary's top aide. And he also interviews Shazam, Huma Abedin. Wow. And guess what? According now through a Freedom of Information Act request, and I want to give a big hat tip to Judicial Watch because they were the ones who forced this information to be revealed to the public. Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills, we now know, lied. They lied to the FBI repeatedly, not once, repeatedly. For example, Cheryl Mills, listen to this, according now to the interview, April 9th, 2016, look it up yourself. She claims, Cheryl Mills, that in fact she didn't even know that Hillary Clinton was using a private server. She didn't even know. She knew nothing about it until after Clinton's State Department tenure. In fact, listen to this, quote, this is from the FBI interview, Mills stated she was not even sure she knew what a server was at the time. So in other words, not only did she not know about a private email server, listen to this, you play stupid, right? What's a server? I don't know. I don't even know what a server is. What's a server? You mean like somebody who gives you food? You mean that kind of a server, like a restaurant server? Oh, a computer server? I never heard of the term. Huma Abedin, on April 5th, 2016, Abedin did not know that Clinton had a private server until after, when she left office, it became public knowledge. Okay. February 27th, 2010. There is an email from Cheryl Mills to Huma Abedin and Justin Cooper. He's a key aide to Bill Clinton. He's the one that actually set up Hillary's private server. You know, the one that was 6 feet away from a bathroom, from a toilet, run by some mom and pop shop operation. Quote, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, email coming back. Is server okay? This is what Mills asks Huma Abedin and Justin Cooper. Cooper replies, you are funny. We are on the same server. Interesting. Guess you knew what a server meant then. February 27th, 2010. Email sent to both Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills. Another one about the server. Mills and Abedin in an August 30th, 2011 exchange with State Department official Stephen Mull. He says Hillary Clinton's, quote, email server is down. It needs to be fixed pronto. January 9th, 2011, Justin Cooper, the Bill Clinton aide, tells Huma Abedin, quote, Hillary Clinton's server has been malfunctioning because, quote, someone was trying to hack us. So they're even saying we're being hacked. The private server is being hacked. We're getting malfunctions. Cooper, I had to shut down the server, he tells Huma Abedin. Huma Abedin, I will tell HRC right away. So now she's going to tell Hillary, hey, we've been hacked or potentially hacked. I got to give her a heads up. I could go on and on and on. So there was email after email after email after email. So Cheryl Mills knew that Hillary Clinton had a server. She certainly knew what a server was. Huma Abedin, hell, she's trying to fix the server as it's being hacked. So they lied. They didn't lie once. They didn't lie twice. They lied literally dozens of times to Peter Strzok and the FBI. So when Comey testifies in front of Congress, he is actually confronted. Here's the kicker now. He's actually confronted by then Congressman Jason Chaffetz, Republican Utah. He's now retired, but let that go. Chaffetz says Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin lied repeatedly. And he's showing them the emails. Look at this email. Look at this email. Look at this email. Look at this email. Comey's response, quote, September 28, 2016, if you don't believe me. Quote, having done many investigations myself, there's always conflicting recollections of facts, some of which are central to the investigation, some of which are peripheral. In other words, it was conflicting recollections. You know, hey, she didn't remember that Hillary had a private server. This one didn't know that Hillary had a private server. It's just a memory lapse thing. It's a recollection thing. They have different recollections. Plain English, here's what he told the committee. I know that they lied, and I know that they lied to us repeatedly. I don't give a damn. Now, you tell me, the media is going crazy. They are foaming at the mouth to hang Mike Flynn in effigy and to say this now leads to the impeachment of the President of the United States. When I've got overwhelming evidence that Hillary Clinton lied, Cheryl Mills lied, Huma Abedin lied, and the same guy, Peter Strzok, was involved, and he cleared all of the Democrats, all of Hillary's people, but he sets up a perjury trap for Michael Flynn. Now, you tell me, if this is not I got to be very careful because I'm almost going to say something. If this is not a bull crap, notice I didn't say it. If this is not a BS investigation, if you want to talk about bull, you know what? This is it. I mean, this is it. Which leads me, I think, in many ways to my ultimate point. Thank God that President Trump won the election in November. Can you imagine if Hillary Clinton won the election? Imagine if she won. All of this corruption, all of this politicization, all of this cronyism that is now destroying our government, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, they would have kept it all under wraps. Comey, Mueller, Peter Strzok, the FBI, all of it. The crooked Justice Department, Loretta Lynch, and meeting with Bill Clinton, all of it, they would have just swept everything under the rug. How the FBI has now been utterly politicized and corrupted thoroughly by James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, and Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller's job is not just to destroy Trump. It is to protect his cronies and buddies at the FBI, led by James Comey. That's what this is all about. So if I got to go to Deutsche Bank, and I got to subpoena Trump's records, and I got to see who lent him money, and I want to nail this SOB on some technicality, I will do whatever I got to do. To the president, I hope you paid your taxes to the penny. To the penny. I hope every disclosure form, every single financial disclosure form You checked off every box and answered every question. Because if you just made one technical mistake, my friend, they're going to nail you or your children the way they're nailing Mike Flynn. Beria said it under Stalin. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. This is unfair. This is frankly disgusting. This is selective justice. This is a two-tier justice system whereby they want to destroy Republicans and exonerate Democrats. That's what's going on here. It's time to drain the swamp. It's time to drain the FBI. Attorney General Sessions, where the hell are you, Jeff? Listen now to Newt Gingrich say pretty much the exact same thing. The system in Washington is sick, and it would have continued to get even sicker had Hillary won. Roll it, Brittany.
I don't think I fully appreciated until this evening how really important it was for Donald Trump to win. If Hillary Clinton had won, none of this would have surfaced. They just would have kept covering up all the corruption, and they would have just kept taking care of themselves. So the very fact that you have this disruptive figure in the White House, all of us are learning some pretty horrifying things about how sick the system is, how sick the entire process is, in ways I would have thought were impossible. I mean, I have the greatest respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and it is astonishing to me that you could have people at the top who are this corrupt, this profoundly dishonest. The second thing that struck me, listening actually to your opening monologue, if you take what General Flynn is accused of, and then you take virtually anything Hillary's done, I mean, 33,000 deletions of emails without any kind of approval, having a totally inappropriate server that was totally outside the State Department rules. I mean, just go down the list. Any one of her things would certainly have at least matched what they're accusing General Flynn of.
He was on Sean Hannity, by the way. Look, Newt hit the nail right on the head. Mueller has to go. He should be fired. To me, Comey needs to be investigated. And the entire FBI, the top leadership, the management, they all have to go and they have to be investigated. James Comey, as far as I'm concerned now, is the dirtiest cop in America. 617-266-6868. Your calls next. Bill in Newton, thanks for holding and welcome.
Jeff, a theory. Roger Stone and President Trump are joined at the hip. It's been that way for 30 years, which means what Roger Stone knows, Trump knows, which means Donald Trump has the capacity to bring down the whole deep state house of cards, which means ipso facto he's got to go. And I believe Mueller is an excellent candidate to represent the deep state to get him out of there. What do you think?
Bill, look, I'm with you. I think Roger Stone is a very dangerous man to the establishment. He's written, frankly, some excellent books. I think his book on Nixon is one of the best books I've ever read on Nixon. He knows where a lot of the bodies are buried. He's now become sort of an informal advisor to Trump. But no, I agree with you. Look, Trump's got a lot more aces up his sleeve. So he's basically in it now. This is a long war. This is not going to be a quick knockout blow. This is now a long war. But I've got to tell you, the more that comes out, the better Trump looks and the worse his enemies look. And I've got to say this. The media went crazy on Friday with Mueller pleading guilty to lying to the FBI, and they think they've got the smoking gun. The more you look at that plea agreement, what many people are asking is, that's it? Like, that's all you've got? The Russia investigation is losing steam, and it's losing credibility. And I think that's why he's got to go for the financial records at Deutsche Bank, because that's almost a Hail Mary. In other words, I got to find something. Remember, What is unique about this investigation is that every other special prosecutor was investigating a specific crime. There never was a crime. Rosenstein is the one that appointed Mueller to get political pressure off his back. This is an investigation in search of a crime. The Russia collusion was the smokescreen, the fig leaf to justify this investigation. And in the end, this is a coup, a silent coup by the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, the Democrats, the media, and the establishment Republicans to bring down a duly elected president of the United States. That's what this is. It is a bloodless coup. It is an American coup. Jim in Worcester. Go ahead, Jim.
Jeff, you're a flamethrower, man. I mean, can you really listen to yourself and sleep at night spewing this stuff? I mean, if the tables were turned, man, you guys would be out of your minds. I mean, and I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, but I'm in the middle. But I sit back and listen to your callers and some of the other shows out there. Man, you guys just I mean, 5 years you look back and your careers will be ruined, and it's just.
I don't think so. Jim, look, what have I said? I mean, all you're doing is now you're just throwing insults. So give me something specific that I said that's kooky or crazy.
Well, I mean, everybody turns it all around on Hillary. And what really has been proven about her lying under oath? Is that out there? I mean, is that
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's overwhelming. In fact, I'll flip it on you. I'm being serious. I'm not trying to be antagonistic. I'm being honest with you. 5 years from now, you're going to look back. The media is going to look back. The Democrats are going to look back and be utterly ashamed. You know why? Because all of you have been engaged in the greatest conspiracy theory of all time, which is this BS theory that Trump colluded with Putin to steal the election from Hillary. It is the biggest conspiracy theory of all time, and yet where's the evidence? There's not one shred of evidence, not one.
So if Trump is shown to actually have committed obstruction of justice, are they going to spin that and say, well, he only did that because of these false charges? And if these false charges weren't brought up, he never would have been in a position to obstruct justice. Therefore, that should be left alone.
No, I'm even going to go simpler. No, I'm going to go simpler with you. Obstruct justice of what? Where's the obstruction? Obstructing justice. What? What did he obstruct?
Well, if he didn't like Comey's actions and he fired him based on his investigation, or let's say that he knew that Flynn actually, lied, and he pressed Comey to let him go. I mean, all these same guys.
Okay, hold on. Was Flynn let go? Flynn's now he's pled guilty. He's going to go to jail for 6 months. He's never going to vote, and he's never going to own a gun. So, in other words, he didn't obstruct justice. That's number one. Number two, I'll tell you what, Jim. Listen to the next segment. Liberal lawyer Alan Dershowitz answers your point right on.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.